Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Chef's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make some baked donuts. So these are going to be ring donuts, which I'm going to bake in the oven rather than fry in hot oil. It takes a few hours to make because you have to prove the dough for up to 2 hours, and then again for about half an hour. But it's quite a simple recipe, and once they're baked you can top them with whatever you like, and I'll show you sort of 2 or 3 different ways you can top them, and they're very, very nice, easy to eat, not overly sweet because you have the sweetness of the topping and such like. So quite simple really, and I'll go on to the recipe. And for that I have 250 grams, which is 1 2/3 cups of bread flour. You could use plain or all-purpose flour, and that's based on a cup that I've got that measures 150 grams. So that's 1 2/3 cups. I have 20 grams or 1.5 tablespoons of melted butter. I have 1 medium egg, that would be large in the USA. 25 grams, 2 tablespoons of caster sugar, or granulated sugar is fine. 75 millilitres, 5 tablespoons of lukewarm milk, and 65 grams, which is 1/4 cup plus 1 teaspoon of lukewarm water. I also have 5 grams, 1 1/4 teaspoons of instant yeast, half a teaspoon of salt, and I'm using, and you probably won't have this so you don't have to use it, it's optional, diastatic malt powder, half a teaspoon. That comes in rather large bags, 1 kilogram bags, so I don't recommend people to buy it unless they're making quite a lot of bread. But the effect that I'm trying for with that is to get an even browning of the donut as you get when you fry them. But as I say, it's optional. You can brush the tops, and I'll do it anyway, brush the tops with a little bit of milk or melted butter to help them brown. So that's all the ingredients, and what we're going to do is to make the dough, and to do that we're going to put all the dry ingredients, that's the flour, apart from the salt, sorry, the flour, the yeast, the diastatic malt powder and the sugar into the bowl of my stand mixer, and I'm going to just mix that all around just to get the various ingredients worked into each other a little bit. That's good. And then I'm going to put in the egg, the melted butter, the lukewarm milk, and I'm going to put in about 3/4 of my warm water. I'm not putting it all in because flour absorbs moisture at different rates depending on humidity, and I can add more water if I need to, or if my dough was too wet I can add more flour if I need to. So I'll put about 3 tablespoons of that in, and I'm going to mix this on a slow speed for 2 minutes, and then after 2 minutes I will, oh sorry, I need to put my salt in as well at this stage. After 2 minutes I will mix on medium speed for 10 minutes. Now of course during the mixing process, particularly during the first 2 minutes, I would need to scrape down the bowl to help the flour get incorporated. So as you can see, that's beginning to come together. So now I'm going to turn the speed up to a medium speed, and I'm going to knead it for 10 minutes. And as I say, if I need to add my additional bit of water in, I will, or if I need to add some extra flour in, I will. What I want after 10 minutes is for the dough to be elastic but slightly tacky still, and it should come away from the bowl quite cleanly. So I've kneaded that for 10 minutes, and I can feel that it's still tacky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that out onto a floured work surface, and I added about a tablespoon more flour into mine. I didn't add the rest of my water. So it depends, as I say, it varies on the humidity and such like. So I'm just going to knead this a little bit, and form it into a tight ball. And I can still feel it slightly tacky, but that's fine. What I'm going to do is turn that in my hands. I just want to knead that little bit there. That's it. Turn that into my hands to make a nice tight ball. Like that. And then I'm going to put that into a lightly greased bowl. So I put it in top side down and then turn it over like that, so that it's all coated in oil and it won't create a film on the dough as it proves. And I'm going to cover that with plastic wrap. Just like that, and I'm going to allow that to prove in that bowl for between 1 and 2 hours until it's doubled in size. It depends on the temperature of the room basically, but once it's doubled in size, I'll come back and we'll go on and shape our donut rings. So it's been about an hour and a half now, and my dough has doubled in size. So it's time to roll it out and shape our donuts. So here's the dough, and I'll just tip that out onto a floured surface. And just turn that over. And what I want to do is knock the air out, and then I'm simply going to roll it out to about 1/2 inch, which is about 13 centimeters thick. And as you can see, that didn't take much rolling at all. So then I'm going to cut out some shapes, and for that I can use a 3-inch cutter, and then to make the hole I can use the nozzle from a piping bag, but you need to dip both of them in flour as you cut them out. But for my purposes I have this little gadget which does it for me. So I'm going to dip that in and simply press down and cut it out like that. And I need to put those onto a baking tray which is lined with parchment paper. And I'm actually going to enlarge the holes a little bit at the same time, because as they bake they will close up. And then you can rework the remaining dough, and it may not be quite so forgiving in terms of rolling out, because as it sits there it starts to prove again. So I have 7 ring doughnuts rolled out, and then this little one here, and as I say, I'm going to spread out the holes a little bit, because as they bake they will close up, which doesn't matter, but they're supposed to be ring doughnuts. So with those like that, I'm going to cover them with damp tea towels, and I'm going to leave them to rise again for another 30 minutes. And in that time I'm going to preheat my oven to 180 Celsius. That's 160 Celsius with the fan, 350 Fahrenheit. And then in 30 minutes time they will be ready to bake, and then we'll make some fillings, some toppings as well. So my oven is now preheated and it's been 30 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of milk onto a brush, and I'm going to gently just brush the top of each of the rings of dough. And I have actually floured a finger and widened the holes just a little bit again in an attempt to stop them closing up. And I'm going to put those into the oven, and I'm going to bake them for 15 minutes or until they've turned a nice light golden brown colour. Then I'll take them out and we'll be able to dip them into the toppings, and I'm going to show you how to make those toppings in a couple of minutes. So what I have here is about 75 grams of dark chocolate. I don't need too much of each because I don't have that many doughnuts, but 75 grams of dark chocolate, which is about half a cup, 20 grams, 1.5 tablespoons of butter, and 45 millilitres, 3 tablespoons of double cream. They're going to make a chocolate ganache. And in this bowl I have 120 grams, 1 cup of icing sugar, and here I have some lemon juice, and I'm going to use up to 2 tablespoons of that probably to make an icing. And here I just have 75 grams, 6 tablespoons of caster sugar for dipping. I'm also going to have just a little bit of melted butter so that I can brush the butter on the doughnuts before I dip them into that icing sugar. So the first thing to do is to melt this chocolate, and you can do that in a microwave or a bain-marie, but I'm going to put my cream into it at the same time, and I will melt that, and then I'll come back and we'll go on to the next process. So the chocolate has melted, so what I'm going to do is put my butter into there as well, and I'm going to stir both of all of that around, the cream, the chocolate and the butter, until the butter has melted as well. And that looks quite good. So I'm just going to set that to the side. And for our icing sugar, I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of water, 3 teaspoons of water, lemon juice. You could use water if you wanted to, but I'm using lemon juice. And just stir that around, and then I'll add more liquid, a teaspoon at a time, until I get a nice thick consistency that I can dip the doughnuts in and coat the tops. So another teaspoon. And I think probably 1 more teaspoon will probably be enough. I'll do half a teaspoon first of all. Yep, and another half. So that's a nice thick consistency, that's what I want. You could have it slightly thinner if you want it more as a glaze than an icing. And I'll keep that lemon juice in case I need to loosen it up a little bit. And the other one is just the caster sugar, which we just need to do nothing with. So the doughnuts are out of the oven and they're still hot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush some butter onto this one, that one, the hole closed up at the bottom there, and I'm going to toss that in the caster sugar so that we get that coated in the sugar. And then for the ones which I want to use the icing, I'm just going to dip them in the icing and lift them out like that. So for the other 3 I'm going to dip them in the chocolate. I have more chocolate than I need, I can see that. And what I'm going to do with the chocolate ones as well, I've decided, is I have some sprinkles here, and I'm just going to put some sprinkles on the top. Just like that. And I'm going to leave those now so that the chocolate can firm up, the chocolate ganache can firm up and the icing can set a little bit. And then once that's happened, I'll come back and we'll have a taste. So I've let the doughnuts toppings firm up just a little bit, and I'm going to have a taste of them. So this is what they look like now, and I've just put some of the topping on a couple of the little pieces from the centre as well, so I can taste those. So this is the lemon icing. It's very nice. Now you don't need to use lemon, you can use water, but that lemon just gives it that nice citrus tangy flavour. And this is the chocolate ganache. And what I like about that one is that the doughnuts don't have much sugar in them, and the chocolate ganache has no sugar in it. It's sort of dark chocolate, and it tastes very, very good indeed. So I'll have a taste of the sugared one. And I'll let you see the texture as well. So that looks quite good. Tastes very, very good indeed. Now I just want to say one thing. I made these yesterday as well, but I wasn't quite pleased with the results, and one of the reasons was the holes closed up too much. So if during baking your holes seem as though they're closing up, just take a wooden spoon and poke it into them and open that hole up again, and it will stay open then while it finishes baking. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to this recipe, and I'll put a link for it below the video as well. And then I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.